Member from Eastern Westmoreland.
You're not gonna love it. You're not gonna love it. You're not gonna love it. You're not gonna... Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I sat, Mr. Speaker, and I wasn't necessarily minded to say anything. However, when I listened to the blatant hypocrisy that was coming from that side, it compelled me to my feet to make a contribution to this. Now, if we're listening to this conversation, the first thing that we're hearing is that if we did not do this, we would have to increase taxes. But several times, the members on this side, including the Prime Minister himself, has gone out and said that we increased taxes on the backs of the people in our previous administration. And he himself said that this was a raid on the NHT. And he said that these funds should be ring-fenced. He said that in the House, and he said that on national programs. No. The point is being made that, yes, there is a disaster. No. There was a natural disaster in 2025, Hurricane Melissa. But there was a man-made disaster in the JLP administration between 2007 to 2011. Because when there was the international crisis, the depression, their Minister of Finance said that it would benefit Jamaica. That's what he said. They went abandon the IMF agreement. And it is because of those reasons that we were placed in a position that we had to draw down on the funds from the NHT. To now come and make the very point that because you have a disaster, you now can draw down on it when you took the opposite position a few years ago, cannot just be allowed to pass as if it is nothing. The member from Northeast St. Ann is making the point that it is because of fiscal responsibility and the position that we are in. The debt to GDP of Jamaica at that time was over 140%. The debt to GDP now is less than 100%. How is it that they complained at that time when the debt to GDP was over 140 to say that this was irresponsible and should not be done? But now when the debt to GDP is down, way less than 100, all of a sudden it is now the fiscal responsibility to do. That level of hypocrisy cannot be allowed to stand. The next point, Mr. Speaker, that is being made, that, oh, this is because of Melissa. This has been going on for 10 long years. Melissa was 2025. This has been going on from 2016. So the government cannot be allowed to just come to the parliament and to totally ignore the total tribal statements that they made before, unpatriotic statements when they placed the country in a precarious position and we had to beg to restore Jamaica's reputation. They can't come now to ignore that and suggest that all of a sudden what they are doing is the responsible. They are being hypocritical. Now, Mr. Speaker, I heard a few things being said here today. The Prime Minister said that they're not ignoring the law. Who was ignoring the law back then when he was carried on? I beg your kind pardon. I beg your kind pardon. I beg your kind pardon. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. No. The Prime Minister said that the leader of opposition is willing to put the country at risk because of ego. What was the leader of opposition in 2013 doing when he was opposing here, when he was supporting court action against it, when he was doing everything to ensure that we could not withdraw the funds from NHT, and at that time the debt to GDP was much worse than what it is now. Was it ego that he was putting the country at risk for them? Was he putting the country at risk for ego at that time? That level of hypocrisy, PM, is palpable. Palpable. No. I learned that in medical school in 2003, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, the Prime Minister went on to say that we do not have a demand problem. Whole heap of people want houses. As a matter of fact, 150,000. I am paraphrasing for the member there that is not familiar with the English language. I am not yielding for that. The essence of the Prime Minister's point is that we do not have a demand problem. There is no point of order.
Member,
there is no point of order. There is no point of order.
Member, you cannot determine that. It's not for you to determine. It's not for you to determine. Allow me to hear. It's not for you to determine.
What is the...
Member, your point of order.
Not only is the member misleading the House, he's factually incorrect. The Prime Minister never said that there was not a demand problem. What the Prime Minister said is that even if we wanted to spend the over $100 billion that were needed to spend to build houses, we did not have the capacity to do it. So he's not being factually correct in saying that the Prime Minister said there wasn't a demand problem. So he's misleading the House.
Member, you can now take back the floor.
Point of order.
You're telling me that you're taking a point of order and a point of order. No. Continue with the presentation.
Mr. Speaker, the member is not listening to his leader, because the Prime Minister made the point in trying to position the argument in a basic economic principle of demand and supply. He said that Jamaica does not have a demand problem. There's a need for 150,000 houses. Jamaica has a supply problem. That is what he said. So that member should listen to the Prime Minister when he's speaking. No, I am saying if there is a supply problem where we are short 150,000 houses, who could help to increase that supply to the market? Who? If we make an intelligent guess, could the National Housing Trust actually play a role in putting those, in increasing those supply to the market? Absolutely yes is the answer. No. The Prime Minister went on to say, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister went on to say that there are issues, and the member from North East Centre said it, there are issues that would cause them not to be able to build the houses. One, land issues. That is why in the last election campaign, we said that we would decrease the period of time for you to own government land from 60 years to 25 years, so that we will put land in possession of the people so that they could build on their own lands. Because it's not all of the construction has to come from government. People can build on their own lands if they are given those lands. Right? And the members opposite confuse the public in saying, here goes the PNP, they want to take away your land. Not telling the public that the current time for private land is actually 12 years. And that the period being proposed by the opposition was twice the period for the private land, and it was in relation to government-owned land. Mischief. Right? and then come to pretend as if they are brand new. They come now, Mr. Speaker, to pretend as if they are brand new. And I'm not finished, you know, Mr. Speaker, because the Prime Minister went on to say, even if we had all the money, we still couldn't build the houses because we don't have the contractors. But a few weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, I was told here that NARA would fix all of these problems. So I want to know now, how is it that even with all of the money, we can't rebuild the houses for the people down in Eastern Westmoreland? How is it that we still cannot build the houses for the people in Eastern Westmoreland? No. Here, you had your chance. You had your chance. No, you had your chance. I listened to you. You had your chance. I listened to you. No, Mr. Speaker, there are some persons who contribute to the National Housing Trust. And when they make their contribution, Mr. Speaker, and they apply, they tell them that they do not qualify. Well, Mr. Speaker, in Jamaica, especially in rural Jamaica when we're growing up, and if you're growing up in poverty, we have a thing named partner. And the basic rule of partner, comrade, forgive me. Remember me, the basic rule, no, that would be a misnomer. Remember me, the member from Southwest Satan, the basic rule of partner is that if you throw a hand, you must get a draw. If you throw a hand, you must get a draw. It's a basic rule of the partner system. Therefore, seeing that the contribution to the NHT is mandatory, it is mandatory. Persons who are employed are not asked to make the contribution. It is mandatory. It is taken out of their salaries automatically. And if they make that mandatory contribution, every single contributor to the NHT should stand to get a benefit from the NHT. So, Mr. Speaker, when you have constituencies like Western Westmoreland, Central Westmoreland, Eastern and Western Hanover, South St. James, Northeast St. Elizabeth, even Southwest St. Elizabeth, because some of the members here can't talk for their constituency, you know. They can't speak up. Northwest St. Elizabeth and other places where the devastation is so severe. You have members there that are making contribution and don't stand to get a benefit. I work in a hospital. As a doctor, I stand to get a benefit from NHT. And when the porter goes to apply, he's told that he's not qualified. So the doctor who earns more and is in a better position qualifies. But the porter who is at the lower end is the one that doesn't qualify to get a benefit. Meaning that we would be using the poor people to subsidize the richer people in the system. That cannot continue to operate in that way. And that is a fact. Any member here that doesn't know that that is happening is not on the ground in their constituency. No. These members of my constituency, whose houses have been destroyed, you know what we were told, Mr. Speaker? You know what we were told? We were told that over 1,000 residents from Eastern Westmoreland still cannot get electricity. And we were told that 40% of that, over 400 people, are not in a position to receive it because their homes have been totally destroyed. I am saying, if there is a surplus of funds within the National Housing Trust, and there is a deficit of housing in the country, if you want to do other things, let me say I'm not commenting on that right now, others will, but I'm commenting on the housing part of it. How is it that there is a surplus of funds within an agency that is supposed to be dealing with housing? We have our brothers and sisters suffering out there with tarpaulin over their houses. People in the tourism sector who get 6 pieces of wood, 6 piece of zinc, 3 bag of nail, and don't get nothing else. How is it that we are comfortable with those persons in that precarious position, and we have a surplus that we decide that we are going to use it for budgetary support? I am not spreading any misinformation. I am speaking of a presentation that I saw, and Minister, please. Minister, please. Please. Minister, please. Minister, please. The issue, Mr. Speaker, I just want you to stop for a second. And I want you to think that these persons, because we're saying this is because of Melissa, and that has been my fundamental problem here, with the NARA legislation and with this. There are 15 minutes remaining on the clock, right? It has been my fundamental problem that when a Category 5 hurricane makes landfall in a constituency, and that constituency, the entire constituency suffers damage from a Category 5. It did not break in Eastern Westmoreland. The entire constituency of Eastern Westmoreland suffered from a Category 5 hurricane. That is the reason why everybody else is celebrating that they have electricity fully restored, but I have 400 people who don't even qualify to get it restored because there's no building to put it on. That is the reason. When I come here, I am talking on behalf. What do you mean wrap up when I have 14 minutes to go? There's the time. No, you're standing order, Mr. Speaker. Each member has 30 minutes to contribute. Each member has 30 minutes. There's the time. You can't be telling me to wrap up when I have 14 minutes on the clock. What is really going on? What is really going on? I am not here on my own behalf, sir. I am here because of the privilege afforded to me by the people of Eastern Westmoreland. And had it been for you and other members there, I wouldn't be here. So when I come here, I'm not here to please you because you came there to campaign so that I wouldn't reach here. So I'm not here because of you. I am here despite of you. Right? So I am going to speak on behalf of my people who sent me here. Right? No. Huh? This is my third term in here, and it's your third. Don't fly past your nest. Don't fly past your nest. It's your third term in here. Right? Mr. Speaker, the people who have suffered from the damage of the hurricane that are still living on a tarpaulin, and I invite the members opposite to take a drive through the constituency of Eastern Westmoreland. 2 times the PA has been there. 2 times. Right? Now, if you take a drive through the constituency of Eastern Westmoreland, approximately 40% of the houses still have tarpaulin on them. When I hear these grand things about how much we have recovered, I don't see it, because there are areas that I go to that still look like the day after the hurricane. It still looks like the day after the hurricane. You still have people that are living on a tarpaulin. You still have children that go to school, the lower grades Monday to Wednesday and the upper grade Thursday to Friday. That is the reality of what is taking place there. So when we are going to talk about the surplus that we have, and that no actuarian has said to us that this will damage the financial position of the NHT, then why have we not taken a decision then to use some of those funds to ensure that we can restore dignity to the people of the constituency? But for the grace of God, it could have been any one of us. But for the grace of God, it could have been any one of us that would have suffered that damage. It is our duty and our responsibility to ensure that we do justice to those people who have suffered the damage. And so, Mr. Speaker, until the day when I hear of some meaningful assistance to the people of Eastern Westmoreland, I will never stop speaking.
I know. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief. I'll be very, very brief. But let me say, Mr. Speaker, I had to